Who's speaking out for us? And as I started to travel and I started to hear the feedback, I started to realize I'm one of them, they're one of me. We're employers, we're employees, we're investors, we're retirees, we're household moms, we're stay-at-home dads. We look at what's going on in the world around us, we can see it. We've got computers in our home, in our office. We see what's going on in Europe right now, exemplified by Greece, which is only one example of what's wrong with Europe. All of Europe is now in recession. We look at what's going on in the United States, this fiscal cliff. We don't really understand what it means, but it sounds like we got so much debt, they don't know what to do with it. And if you look at Asia, you know, it depends what day you're looking at. One day it's up, the next day it's down. We see this world is in increasing turmoil. And we see that this province of ours in the last 10 years has had a pretty good economy. And we're concerned about it staying that way. And we also got to keep our expenses down, whether it's our business or our household. We know that if we don't keep our expenses below our income, that sooner or later we're going to face financial ruin. And we expect the same performance from our government in Victoria. You know, we don't want to see any more taxes, any kind of taxes. Land taxes, provincial taxes, federal taxes. We pay enough. And what our government's got to learn to do is to stop spending more than what they're earning. And I can assure you personally, by the way, I spent a year in the Premier's office. I fielded a lot of those visits that were meant to be the Premier. They ended up talking to me. There's an endless supply of opportunities for government to spend money on good causes. They're infinite. But we don't have an infinite amount of money. So we really got to have a government that understands you can only spend within your means. The other thing I heard about was regulation. This province, its initiative, is being strangled by regulation. Now, true, Gordon Campbell and Kevin Falcon, when they first went in office, they had that they were going to cut the red tape. And they did a pretty good job for the first 2 or 3 years. I don't know what happened. They kind of took their eye off the ball, and that stopped being a focus. And those regulations started growing back in like crabgrass. And everywhere I've gone, whether it was the Kootenays, Okanagan, the Northeast, the Caribou, it's the same refrain. Regulation is driving us crazy. We concerned citizens of British Columbia, and I'm standing up for them, and I'm one of them. And I hope maybe you will be too. We're going to call for a full regulation audit. And that regulation audit will be a zero-based budget. Every regulation will have to justify itself on a needs test. Here's the regulation. Do we need it? Yeah. Why? And answer the question. And if you can't come up with a good reason why that regulation is there, you get rid of it. Saying that it's always been there or that's the way we always do it is just not good enough. That's one example of regulation. As far as the balanced budget law is concerned, we like the balanced budget law because without it, first of all, you don't know whether you're offside or not. You know, if you don't have a balanced budget law, if you don't say, well, you know, it's the law to have a balanced budget, at least if you have that, you know you're underperforming. You are underperforming. You get it right. Without that, you can say, well, we'll get a balanced budget one of these days. That's not good enough. The balanced budget law today has built into it a $6,000 take-home pay penalty to every minister of the cabinet when they run a deficit. We like that, but we want it stronger than that. We want every member of the government caucus to be penalized for running a deficit. So when those caucus meetings get held, everybody in the rooms pays at risk if they're going to be running in a deficit. That doesn't guarantee balanced budgets. Of course it doesn't. But at least we know what we're supposed to be doing. I mean, I presented operating plans for years and years at Finnining and at Canfor. I never presented an operating plan projecting a loss. Because once you accept a loss, how much loss is it good enough? We're going to lose, okay, this year I'm projecting we're going to lose 10 million. Okay, well maybe we'll lose 30 million next year. You've got to at least have a plan for acceptable performance. And if you underperform, you say, we missed the mark. What do we got to get back outside? So anyway, that's what we're looking for. Real sound fiscal management of government. Now, as far as the labor is concerned, we think it's vitally important that a worker's democratic right to a secret ballot, whenever there's an attempt to unionize his job, must be preserved. So these are the kinds of things that have accumulated in my travels. This is the mandate we've been building, and I've been getting it from the input, from the Okanagan, from the Kootenays, from the Peace Country. These are the guys out there that are working day and daily just like you, trying to make ends meet, trying to make sure that the household is secure, your business is sound enough you're going to be able to make the payroll, pay the heat and rent and light. So with the concerned citizens of British Columbia, the direction we want a responsible free enterprise government. We want to make sure that British Columbia continues to be an attractive place to invest. Without investment, you don't have job development. You don't have business development. And up to the last 10 years, we've done a pretty good job of it, and Christy has done an excellent job of it. I travel with her. She's the best salesman this province has ever had. But what you got to do is you got to make sure that capital feels like it's welcome. Because I can tell you from personal experience, capital does not go where it doesn't feel welcome. And capital tax is the number one thing that tells you you're not welcome. And raising corporal taxes is another one that tells you you're not welcome. And just keep cranking up the regulations, that's another reason. We are in competition. But we're not in competition for copper or for lumber nearly as much as we're in competition for capital. Without capital, it doesn't happen. We've got the resources, but we've got to have the capital to make the investments to turn those resources into wealth. Because copper in the ground isn't worth anything. It's only worth something when it's getting delivered to a customer, and then that translates into jobs and hopefully a return on investment for the people that are investing.